Hello YouTube, it's DrunkMonk74 here, and I'm bringing you my first video in quite some time. And the reasoning for that varies. I won't bore you with all of it, but it varies for everything from the fact that I've had loads of issues with BF4 and PC, which hopefully, touch wood, I've now fixed. Can't guarantee it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it is fixed. It's been stable for quite some time. And all the way through to the fact that I have moved 220 miles further north of where I've lived my entire life in London to just outside of York. And I guess I can thank my missus for that move, and it's taken me quite some time to make the move and make the adjustment, settle down. I am a city boy at heart, so living about 14 miles outside of York in an area that many would class as semi-rural has taken me quite some time to get settled in and get used to. But hopefully I'm there, and now that I am, I can appreciate how beautiful this countryside is, and it's a wonderful part of the world, really, to be honest. So if you ever come over to England, try and stop by Yorkshire, because you won't be disappointed by the sights. Back to the video. Before I go any further, I know a lot of people will probably pick up on it and make a little comment about it. In the top left, you can see my GPU usage for my two 680s and also the frame rate. And you will notice that the usage is not in sync, and if everything was working correctly and how it should, that usage should be nice and almost basically exactly the same on both, because I have got them running in SLI. The reason they're not is because I use Shadowplay to record, and Shadowplay and Nvidia still have not fixed the issue whereby if you are using Shadowplay and you have an SLI set up, it seems to have a negative impact on your the usage of your secondary GPU, and that's been ongoing for quite some time. They still haven't fixed it, but it still, with a bit of overclocking, I have been able to make it a little bit more stable for myself. So you know, the frame rates aren't too bad. I have had to drop a lot of my settings. I think most of my settings are down to medium. A lot of the post-processing is either on low or off, so that's just something I've had to do to try and make this game playable for me. Hopefully Nvidia and Shadowplay will be bringing out a fix for this fairly shortly. Going back to the video though, this is going to be a weapon review, and I thought, seeing as I've been away for quite some time, I might as well pick up on one of my favourite class, the support class, and a gun that I hadn't really used much up until now, and that's the M240B, otherwise known as the Pig. It is an absolutely storming weapon once you've got some unlocks for it. I wasn't a big fan of it when I first started using it. Love the weapon now. And speaking of unlocks, let's just quickly show you how I've got it set up. Then we'll quickly pop back in, show you how it handles, and we can discuss it all a little bit more with a bit of gameplay footage in the background. Okay, so here you got it, and this is how I've got the weapon set up. This is just quickly running through it. I've got the reflex red dot sight. You could, I guess, put anything you want on there. Generally, to be honest, I generally tend to run with the Cobra sight on most of my weapons, but with the way this gun handles, there's a lot of horizontal drift on it, if you ask me. And for me, with the Cobra sight, the way the Cobra sight meets in the middle, it's got a horizontal line on it anyway. It just makes it quite difficult, for me anyway, to keep track of my targets. So I've gone for the red dot sight, and I found it to be absolutely fantastic. I guess you could go with the Coyote sight as well, possibly the Hollow, but again, with the way the weapon handles, the Hollow, there's just too much going on that sight for me to be able to track or keep accurate track of all of my targets. So that's why I've got the red dot sight. It's nice and clean and simple, and that's how I like it. No accessory. Barrel, heavy barrel. I use that because I want the increase in bullet speed. I'll talk a bit more about that in the video. And finally, the stubby grip. Probably once I've unlocked it, I haven't unlocked it at the moment, I will put the potato grip on there once I'm done. But that's my setup. Let's quickly jump back into the firing range, see how it handles. Okay, so here we are, we're back in the firing range, and let's have a quick look at how the weapon handles. So this is going to be up close, a little bit medium, I guess a bit longer range over there, but definitely medium range there. Let's see. So at first I'm not going to do any sort of compensation, and just put it on full auto and show you how it handles. So there you go, full auto, no compensation, more or less a complete straight vertical line straight up. Once more. All the way up. Absolutely just straight vertical line. Literally all you're going to have to do to try and compensate is just drag down on the mouse a bit, and you can see there's a hell of a lot more recoil. Sorry, a lot less recoil, a vertical recoil, once you've got a bit of compensation. But as you saw just then, even when you've got it on full auto and you're putting some compensation on, this gun will jump around quite a bit. And it's made worse by the fact that I've got a heavy barrel on there. But the reason I use a heavy barrel is because I generally tend to play the smaller maps, smaller game modes, play things like Domination, TDM or Chain Link, any of those sort of game modes where there's intense infantry fighting. Generally it's sort of close range, medium range at best. You know, I don't have to worry too much about the recoil. When I'm playing larger game modes, say Conquest or something, then I'll probably look at, well, then I'll definitely take off the heavy barrel, probably put on something like the compensator to give me a hand with that horizontal drift. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, if we move over here to the slightly longer range, still it's not massively long range, but it's just a bit further away than the range we've just been firing at. Same thing, you've seen the vertical recoil, so I don't need to demonstrate that, but just going to demonstrate if I put a bit of compensation, well, left hand side where I'm aiming now, there will be no compensation. So I'm just going to go full auto, no compensation. Typical. Alright, reload's done. Let's try that one more time. No compensation, full auto. There you go. Alright, so this time a little bit more, just more compensation, and let's see how it gets on. So as you can see, you can try and control it a little bit more, but that horizontal drift left to right, that's still nasty. Any sort of range, especially with the heavy barrel. That right there is why I take off the heavy barrel when I'm playing long game modes where my engagement is going to be slightly longer, medium to long range. Take it off, put the compensator on, help me with that horizontal drift. I can control the vertical recoil a bit, but the best thing to do with this weapon is to burst fire. 3-4 rounds with a little bit of compensation. And it's a lot more controllable. With that reload kicking in, let's go into some game footage and see how it performs in game, and we can chat a bit more about the gun. Okay, so I thought I'd start off by showing you exactly what happens and what I mean by how difficult it can be to control this weapon with the heavy barrel at any sort of range. And you're about to see a little example of that here. Just a straight little lane, partially heavy barrel, well, mostly the heavy barrel, partially the fact that I was running. Didn't help my cause there, but as you saw, just bounces all over the place. The recoil is fairly difficult to control. More or less, well, exactly the same sort of lane, right at the back end here. Pop my head round, and as you can see, you know, it is just recoiling all over the place, up, down, left, and right. And that's what makes that weapon with the heavy barrel so hard to control, and it's why I take it off when I'm playing the larger game modes. There's just no way you can compensate for the horizontal recoil. I mean, the vertical you can just about control. You know, it's not the best to control, but you can just about manage it. But the horizontal drift, you just can't compensate for that. And here are some examples of how you should do it. So similar sort of range, possibly a bit longer, but as you can see, standing still, burst firing, and getting my kills. And you know, this is why this is why with the heavy barrel the weapon can be great at range. It just depends on your playstyle. I am like, again here, I took some cover, popped my head around, and I'm making him walk sideways to try and get eyes on me. That's how I managed to get get that kill basically. It's just I was standing stock still, he was strafing to his right, and that's what was causing him grief. Again here you can see just standing perfectly still at range. It's not the easiest still to control. It definitely is tap fire, it's not burst fire, it's tap firing all the way when you're trying to get those long range shots in. And that's part of the reason I take it off. It's just it makes you too vulnerable. You can't stand that still for that long and tap fire. You know, if you've got a bipod out, yeah, perfect, it's great. You know, you're going to get kills quite easily. But like I said, I'm just not that type of player. I won't like camp in one area, or I won't like lay down and deploy the bipod. I just can't do it. And obviously, just to show you what it's a little bit like in close quarters, what better map than Metro? Still love this map. It's still a great map from BF3. It is, you know, I think I've played on some servers which is like 64 player, and that is a real clusterfuck. There's just nothing but mayhem there, and you cannot move, and that's when you do really feel like you have to camp a bit, because you just get shot every time you move, and you need some real teamwork. But now with smaller player counts, it's a really enjoyable map still to play. No idea what that guy was doing, just laying there. I presume he was trying to defend an area. He just was doing a bad job. I mean, one of the things about laying down, especially if you're not support, so you don't have a bipod, which I don't think he was. I believe he was assault. Is you're just giving anyone, me or anyone else who's aiming at you, just one part of your body to aim for, and that's your head. You know, and a lot of people struggle for aim headshots as it is. You know, a lot of people will naturally aim for the body rather than the head. I'm just as guilty as anyone else. So when you present only one target, you're just making it easier, because you're almost like just saying, there you go, here's my head, take a shot. It's a kind of, for me anyway, it's kind of like a sad thing to do. You know, you want to think that through a little bit better. I understand there will be times when you want to lay down and try and suppress the enemy, but you know, on something like Metro, laying down in a corner somewhere, that's just going to get you killed fairly rapidly. You know, unless you're in the lockers or something like that, and you've got a nice long channel and you know your team's got your back, that's just going to cause you a lot of grief. But yeah, that's all I'm doing here. As you can see, there's still some you know, fairly rangy shots going off. I'm trying to pick the lanes, trying to pick them off at certain distance, because at the end of the day, this is an LMG. Its strength is sort of slightly longer range engagements rather than assault rifles, you know, which are going to be much better at closer ranges. So try and make use of it, but you are going to have to learn burst fire or tap fire. And at the very end, here you go, you do end up feeling like a king with this weapon, but you can always bite off more than you can chew. That's just because the pig is a beast. Anyway, that's me, I'm done, I'm out of here. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.